So we're going to move on to Node.js on Docker because I'm a Node developer and that's what I like. And so you're stuck because I have the microphone. But pretty much everything that I'm going to teach you here, one, you don't really need to know Node that much. I'm going to give you all of the code and not necessarily expect you to understand it. And two, this could be applied to Ruby, it could be applied to Go, it could be applied to Java, COBOL, Perl, I don't know, whatever suits your fancy. I'm not going to shame. But just to kind of start getting into some of these other flavors of containers that might be useful to you, in particular the Node one, because we're going to be using that one all day. So we're here. I'm in macOS mode right now. And I'm going to say docker run -it. And I'm going to say node, which is the official Node container that Docker certifies as official. These are actually built by a company called NodeSource, wonderful people that do really great Node consulting. And they make wonderful containers. They're experts in it. So that's why I rely on them and I don't do it myself. And then here, if I did node, this would run latest, which I think would be the same as what I'm going to tell you to do now. But again, I want to kind of freeze in time, right? Like just like you pin your dependencies before you send them in production, that's why I'm going to give you the correct tag here. So I want it to run node 12, and then I want it to be tied specifically to Debian stretch. So I'm going to say 12-stretch. So actually, it looks like I don't have that locally, so it's actually going to go out and pull that.
Could you help me understand what you mean by tying node to Debian stretch?
Sure. So whenever you run a Docker container, there's multiple versions of things going into it, right? So, and the thing that I'm going to care, in this particular case with like the node image, the two things that I really care about the versions of is I care about what version of Linux it's on, and I care what version of Node it's on, right? So the 12, that's node 12, that makes sense. Stretch is tying it to a specific version of Debian, which I believe is Debian 7. Don't quote me on that because I don't really know Debian very well. Now, why are we doing Debian versus Ubuntu? That's just what they build the node images with, right? I think you can get it on Bionic and other versions of Ubuntu, but by default, it's on Debian.
It's kind of like a mashup of those two.
Yeah. So actually, literally the next section, I'll be talking about tags, which is what this is. But suffice to say, it's arbitrary. So whoever creates the container chooses what the tags are called. So they could have called it stretch-12. They could have called it whatever they wanted to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
So stretch is just a name. It doesn't have any implied.
It's a really easy way to remember the version of Debian, right? Again, like I can't remember that the numbers of what Debian version we're on, but I know that stretch is the latest one. Latest LTS, that is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if it was like a stretch was like a
Nope.
term for like latest or something.
It's not. No, it's specifically for Debian. It's like we've been using Ubuntu Bionic this whole time, right? Which is 18.04. That's what stretch is for Debian.
Thank you.
Yep. So we got, looks like 2 more layers that it's going to download here very quickly.
Brian, do you want us to download this image too?
Yeah, probably. Yes, the answer is yes, because we'll use it several times throughout the rest of the course. Then it has to go extract everything and then reapply everything, so it takes a bit of processing. So okay, we downloaded the image, it pulled it, and executed it, and now it drops us into some sort of REPL, right? REPL being like a, God, what does REPL stand for? I'm sure someone here knows. Anyway, it stands for something, REPL. I'm sure there's like 9 people on the chat saying it stands for this.
Read, evaluate, print, loop.
Yep, read, evaluate, print, loop. There it is. And surprise, it's JavaScript, right? So I can say console.log x, right? And it'll do that, and then or 2 + 2, whatever, right? So this is dropped us into the node REPL inside of a Debian stretch Linux, right? Which may or may not be what you're expecting. But like I said, the container gets to define what command actually gets run. So this drops us into a REPL, which stands for read, execute, print, and loop, right? For Node.js. So if I just say something like console.log x, it's going to log out x, right? Normal JavaScript kind of stuff, right? If you just do it on your computer and you just type node, this is what it does for you. And like I was telling you before, the containers themselves get to decide, like if I don't specify a command, which you can see up here right there, I didn't specify a command, right? So it does whatever it was defaults to. In this case, it's like, I'm going to put you into the node REPL because I have no idea what you actually want to do. Okay, so that's what this does here. Let's see, exit. Oh. There we go. So if you hit Control-C twice, that'll get you out of the REPL. And then it finishes the container at that point, right? Because that's the CMD that it was designed to do. But if I actually want to be dropped into just the Linux part of it, I can say bash, right? And now I'm inside of this container. But as opposed to the other ones, first of all, if I say cat etc issue, you can see I'm on, oh, it looks like it's Debian 9 is what stretch is. I was wrong. I thought it was 7. In any case, that's what kind of Linux we're in. And Ubuntu is based on Debian, so everything's going to feel very, very familiar to you. But what's cool about this one, if I say node-v, right, now it has node installed because I got the node container, right? So you can see here I have node 12, which is exactly what I asked for. So that's kind of fun, right? So again, something you always, like, I think is quite useful to you is just knowing this cat etc issue thing, right? If you run node, right, and I just run node like this, which I'm not going to do right now, you might not know that this is Debian, right? I don't know if a faulty assumption, but I just assume most things are Ubuntu because that's what I use. But in this particular case, they decided to go with something else. But this is a good way to kind of say, like, okay, where am I? What am I doing? What's the lay of the land there? We'll go into later, like, which Linux distributions you can select. But I mean, the sum of the story is, like, choose the one that you're most comfortable with. All of these are really good. Like Red Hat Linux is a good one. Mint, Alpine, Debian, Ubuntu, they're all valid choices, just depending on what you want to do.